What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and I'm coming at you again with a little transfer rumor talk, as I seem to be doing very recently here on the channel because it's approaching January, and that means that it's time to discuss transfers. So you may not have noticed that yesterday I came live to you guys to talk about Haaland being linked to Chelsea as well as Brandt being linked to Arsenal. They are just rumors, but this one really caught my eye, and I wasn't planning on going live today, but it just was one for a couple of reasons I really wanted to go live, and it was mainly because this rumor, I know it seemed a little far-fetched, but it's actually relatively believable, sort of. Let me just elaborate a little bit more. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about it. But the number one, so this is, I'll just go through the article relatively soon. We'll see how many more people jump on the chat here, but yeah, so, I mean, Luka Jovic has been linked to Dortmund for years now. I mean, he had a very successful time at Eintracht Frankfurt, which you guys are very aware of. He's a proven goal scorer, and it seems natural that he's not working out at Madrid. He gets linked back with a top-end Bundesliga club in Borussia Dortmund. But saying that, this deal is very interesting. I have it here on the screen for you guys, and I'm going to let a little bit more of you guys jump in before I actually read it out for you guys, but looking at Haaland, I mean, there's the release clause, and there's several other reasons as to why this deal obviously may not happen. But there's also some things that we have to take into consideration, and that's why I just thought I would come here today and break it down with you guys. So we'll go through a few comments just to get some, I guess, natural reactions from some of you guys, as Donald Duck is here and says, if Dortmund lets this happen, I would seriously lose respect for y'all. Fair. And that's the point of having this conversation, is that some people will have certain views to this and some people will not. I mean, the number one and most negative view is the fact that we would, lose Erling Haaland. No one wants that to happen. Erling Haaland is obviously a huge part of our future, and I still think that he's got some seasons left in Dortmund before getting moved on. But I think the reason that Madrid put this package together is because they actually think that they may have a realistic shot of turning Dortmund's head. So I'll go through the article here quickly before we get into some comments for you guys. But they said basically Real Madrid is reportedly coming up with a plan to sign Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund, and Los Blancos ready and offer the Germans an astonishing swap deal. So that's the first thing we got to take into consideration with what we're reading here, is that they're going to be offering a type of swap deal. I'm sure, as you can tell by the title, as to where I'm going to be going with this swap deal. But basically, it starts off by saying that Madrid was targeting Kylian Mbappe, and that was their number one target. But he's slowly moving out of the radar at Madrid, which means they now have to turn their attentions to the 20-year-old Norwegian from, obviously, our club, that being Erling Haaland. And we do know that there's been rumors, I say rumors because we don't know if these are actually true, about a release clause that activates in 2022. So they are saying now, because of the Mbappe situation slowly declining, that Erling Haaland will be Madrid's top target. So they are going to make if they're going to make any type of huge signings for Madrid in the next summer, they're going to try to do one that is financially positioned. And the only two signings that Real Madrid are apparently looking to potentially sign is David Alaba on a free transfer from Bayern Munich and Eduardo Camavinga from Rennes for about 50 million. Erling Haaland will be the club's priority signing of 2022. Haaland's release clause is set at 75 million and will be activated in 2022. Having said that, it has been reported that Real Madrid will come up with a plan to land the Dortmund striker. So a lot of people and us have been talking about why, I guess, Haaland will not move is because of that release clause. But this is where this article is. And again, I'm not saying that it's an unbelievably legitimate article. I'm just saying that it does do an interesting point of view, because everyone just became under the assumption that the release clause would keep Haaland safe. But Madrid are trying to look around that by offering a direct replacement with Bundesliga experience and Bundesliga success in Luka Jovic, plus, by the sounds of it, about 50 million. So they're saying that they are willing to pay the release clause of Erling Haaland, but in installments, and that in the 2019-2020 La Liga champions will be offering 2 installments of 25 million euros, equaling 50 million euros, and the next installment would be offering Luka Jovic, who's got a current value of about 30 million euros, and the installments that, along with Luka Jovic, will be a swap deal, as Real Madrid plan to offer Borussia Dortmund for Erling Haaland. They're saying by 2022, it's time for Karim Benzema to probably step down as his role, and that Haaland would obviously become their new striker, with Luka Jovic would certainly be an ideal candidate as well, but the Serbian has barely had any worthy performances in his 2.5 seasons at Madrid due to the lack of game time. Offering 50 million euros alongside Luka Jovic for Haaland seems to be a fair deal by Los Blancos, but Borussia Dortmund would also benefit through this deal as they would get a direct replacement for their prolific goal scoring in the shape of Luka Jovic. So that is the article that I read, which is the reason that I went live today. So I want to obviously chat with you guys. It's one of my favorite parts about going live is to get your guys' point of view. And immediately I can tell you, without even reading the comments so far, that most of you will be against this deal, which obviously makes sense because Erling Haaland is 2-3 times the striker Luka Jovic is. But I just think it's an interesting way to look at it is that they are offering that package deal with obviously the money, as well as offering someone who could be a direct replacement in Luka Jovic and has that Bundesliga experience. But saying that, I don't know, man. Like for Erling Haaland, I mean, I wouldn't have my head turned by $75 million. I think he's worth a lot more than that, but we'll see what you guys have to say, as Donald Duck says that he would seriously lose respect for y'all. And I mean, I would a little bit too. I mean, I don't think it's the wrong move for Madrid to look at those type of deals, because I think that offering, like I said, like a direct replacement in Luka Jovic, he's been linked with us in the past, it makes sense. I just think the price is way, way too low whenever this deal could potentially go down, if it ever does. I just think Haaland's worth way, way more than that, and we would not want to lose him for 50 million, which is absolutely almost nothing in this market, as well as Luka Jovic. So we'll see what you guys have to say about it. I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit of the same. Jovic is nowhere near the player that Haaland is. This is a big giant no, straight up. Yep, and again, and that's fair. I mean, these articles are interesting to read because I don't know how obviously legitimate some of them are, but it did catch my eye, and I thought the deal was unique, and I did like Luka Jovic. I thought he was a very good striker in the seasons that he had with Eintracht Frankfurt, and I mean, I wouldn't be against him ever coming to Borussia Dortmund, but in this type of package deal, it doesn't look very appealing if you ask me. Hey, how are you? I'm doing good, my friend. How are you? Welcome back to the chat as we are discussing why this deal will never happen. Just no. He said he wants to win trophies with us. He did, and I don't think that he's going to be leaving anytime soon, just because I do really think that he enjoys it here at Borussia Dortmund. But it's starting to show the more rumors that we're getting linked to. I mean, there's another rumor that I can bring up for you guys in Jadon Sancho already being linked back to Manchester United along with Jack Grealish. So it's funny the way that these rumors just constantly come at the Borussia Dortmund players. But I do agree with what you guys are saying right off the bat, that this deal looks very unlikely. For me, I don't think that, like I said, Haaland wants to leave anytime soon, and that it's just a very appealing deal in general. Even though I do think whenever Haaland potentially does move on from Borussia Dortmund, I do think Madrid would be one of the top of the table teams to potentially go after him. But again, this deal just has so many holes in it that it just doesn't make a lot of sense. He's been with us for barely a year. Yep, and that is absolutely true. I want only money for Haaland. And there you go. That's another interesting point of view, and that's what, I mean, the deal, I don't mind the fact that they offered a swap deal, but just because I think Luka Jovic does check the boxes of the kind of replacement that we would look at Dortmund. But again, the quality is just honestly not there compared to what Haaland offers to the table. And the other big thing is that I just think that it would have to be a lot more money. I think that arguably, like, Haaland's one of the best strikers in the world right now. I think that the fact that they're offering a package deal of 75 million is kind of a slap in the face, if this is as legitimate as it seems. Bro, what? I think it's unbelievable. I think it's believable, but definitely not worth it. I know, and that's why I wanted to go live with you guys today. Just the article cracked me up. It made a little bit of sense, not the fact that we'd accept the deal, but the proposal made a little bit of sense. Installments, which we see a lot more in the daily transfer markets now, seeing how the way, for example, Arsenal dealt with the Pepe signing, and then the fact that they would basically lose a player they don't want, that kind of fits a player that we would need to replace Haaland. It was a very unique article. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys and go live. Dan's here, and he says, don't accept it. I really want Haaland to win something with our club. And I think he will, Dan. I really do. I think that he's going to stay with us here at Dortmund for a few more seasons at least before they move on. But it's just interesting that you see a player like Haaland and that he looks protected from these different release clauses or whatever it may be in place that you'd think that would just shoo off some other clubs going at him. And again, I'm not saying that this is like a completely legitimate rumor, just a couple articles that I've been reading today and thought it'd be fun to go live with you guys. But these are other ways that clubs are trying to be strategic to be able to get past that release clause, because if you think about it, yes, 75 million for Haaland is a joke in my opinion. I think he's worth a lot more than that. But if that is an actually legitimate release clause that comes into play, which I don't know, obviously, top of my head, if it's going to be 100% legitimate and if it's going to come into play, but Madrid are technically offering more than the 75 million. They're offering 50 million plus a player worth 30 million, and the player is a direct replacement. So if you're thinking about it like that, it's not the worst deal to be offered. But again, that's going to be up to the board because they know the little things about this where I do not. I don't know if the release clause is 100% legitimate because, I mean, it would suck to lose him for 75 million and then not have, I mean, a direct replacement. The market, we'll never be able to sign someone near as good as Haaland for 75 million. So that's why it seems a little bit unique, even though at the time I'd rather just take my chances with the 75 million and keep Haaland around as long as we can because he's just that good. We shouldn't sell. No, we should not sell. And I mean, I don't believe we're going to sell. I just think it's very unique and very strategic the way that Madrid are approaching this. And this is why I wanted to discuss it with you guys, because it doesn't seem so far-fetched the way that if that release clause is 100% legitimate at 75 million, this makes this proposal kind of interesting if you ask me, even though at the end of the day, there's no way it's going to happen. Exactly, I'd say Real Madrid should just pay up. Yep, but I mean, again, like 75 million for Haaland, it just seems like a joke whenever it may be. I just think we should get so much more money for him because he's just a natural animal who, at the age of 20, who's just gonna get better and better and better. An agent says my heart would break if this happens, and I would be too. But this is the thing that I had to realize being a Dortmund fan for the last 10 or so years is that these strategic kind of deals happen a lot. I find with Borussia Dortmund where it looks like, for example, the Aubameyang deal, the Dembele deal, it just seems like we're able to muster up these crazy deals that end up working out in our favor, even though at the time it kind of seems like a slap in the face. But I can tell you right now, so whenever it happens, if it happens, 75 million for Haaland would be a slap in the face, and my heart would break too. Why should Real Madrid pay up, give it a year, and the price will easily double? That's the main part of this conversation, is that 75 million release clause. He's way worth more than that right now. Like, we know that. He would be well into the hundreds, high hundreds if you ask me, but that's the reason that this conversation is happening, is that $75 million release clause, which I don't know. There was rumors when we signed Haaland for a very, very cheap price. We know how cheap we got him, that there was going to be a release clause put into the contract so he could basically have an out. Now, I don't know, again, there's no actual like facts about that release clause when it's activated. There's been rumors. I'm not saying that the rumors aren't true. I'm not saying that they are true because I honestly don't know. But that $75 million release clause is a worry because so many teams out there, can afford that 75 if you're looking at the player you're going to get. So that's why this conversation is interesting, because you see as someone who could potentially worth 75, even though they're technically worth, well, maybe 200, whatever it may be. And then losing for 75 is honestly a slap in the face. And it's hard to think about that. So that's why I think this proposal from Madrid isn't the worst thing I ever read, unless that release clause isn't true. So, I mean, that's going to be the telltale sign going into the future about what's going to happen with Erling Haaland and what we get out of it. To be fair, it would be very difficult to give the same results as Haaland. He's currently regarded as one of the best strike players in the world, but I believe that there are better options available. So you believe that there's better options than Haaland available for us? I'm going to need you to elaborate on that a little bit more. I think that you're saying that maybe this deal isn't the worst thing in the world, but I mean, that's why it's such a unique conversation, is because like I don't want to see Haaland ever leave Borussia Dortmund for 75 million. I think that's just unfair, and he's obviously worth a lot more. So Madrid knows that. So that's why it looks like they're offering a strategic plan where you're getting a good chunk of money as well as a direct replacement for him who's got that Bundesliga experience, which is very important and can do a job. I mean, obviously not as well as probably Haaland can do the job, but it gives you that kind of options that you're potentially not going to get if you just get 75 million. Now you got to go out and spend that 75 million, and you're probably going to spend as much as you need to try to get that replacement anyways. So it is an interesting conversation. That's why I wanted to go live and see what you guys had to say about it. Payne says not worth it, and honestly, you're probably right. How old is Jovic? I believe Jovic is 25, 24, 25, somewhere in that age. He's right. He should be right in the middle of his prime, but he's really had to take a back seat since moving to Madrid. It's still a rumor. I highly doubt it will happen. I ordered a Haaland kit. Imagine if he leaves in January. And again, I honestly, if you're asking my opinion, I do not believe there's any chance of him leaving in January whatsoever. Absolutely zero. But, I mean, that release clause is in there, and those are the kind of deals that can potentially push a board's decision. Now, I don't think they're going to let him go in January because there's just too much at stake, and they'd probably rather keep him around for even the 6 months, get a better result in the league standings, and then if they have to make a move, they can do it in the summer window. But it makes it a very interesting conversation, the fact that teams know of this release clause, and that can potentially push a board's hand when they offer these type of deals. Jovic is poo-poo. He will get games, then do bad, and never see the pitch again. And it sucks because I honestly thought Luka Jovic was one of the finest players to watch play when he was on that Eintracht Frankfurt team. He was so good with Rebic and Halle, and now he's obviously rotting away in Madrid because he's not getting the game time. I really think that there is a player in there. I'm not saying that we're the right move for him. I think he's got to move on regardless. A team like Wolverhampton Wanderers could be a good example for Jovic because of Jimenez is out and he could be a direct replacement there. But we'll see. Jose says, if we ignore the money for a second, Real Madrid has a better chance of signing Mbappe than Haaland. I disagree with that a little bit, mainly because of this release clause. I feel like if the 75 million release clause is as legitimate as it potentially is, Madrid would much rather spend 75 on Haaland, which is so much better financially than trying to make some type of 200 million plus deal for Mbappe. That's why I think that the rumors linking them to Mbappe have cooled. I think Mbappe would generally like to go to Madrid, but I don't know if Madrid can pull it off and get that kind of deal done, which is why I think that they're starting to look at Haaland. I mean, his form has been absolutely incredible. He's 20. He's going to be one of the best, if not the best striker, probably within the next 5 years. So getting him for a $75 million price tag, or 75 million euro price tag, then that would be kind of a no-brainer to me. But I think the entire deal, whenever Haaland potentially looks to go on from Dortmund, is going to come down to what that price tag could potentially be. But we'll see what you guys are saying on that, because we got some comments up here. Mbappe already said he wants to leave PSG this summer, while Haaland has been pretty public of his future at Dortmund. And that is a good point. That is a very good point. And like I said, and you guys have heard me stress this a lot, I said that Haaland's entire future has pretty much been planned out. He's been very particular about every move he's made. I've said this countless times on the channel, which is why I do totally agree with that. I think he is happy. I think he's going to probably stay as long as he sees fit before he makes a jump, because I don't think he wants to interfere with his progress as a player. But that's what I'm saying, that it could potentially be put out of his hands with that $75 million release clause. So, I mean, honestly, if we're being as legitimate as we can, he's going to more than likely stay until someone triggers that whenever it becomes active. Because someone will. Don't get me wrong. If that release clause pops up at any time, there's going to be probably 10 clubs I can think of off the top of my head that would try to activate that release clause, because it's just a deal, you know? It is what it is, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's staying happy, just like you said. And Mbappe, like you also mentioned, did say that he would like to leave, and that's why I just earlier said that I think he would like to go to Madrid. I don't think that Madrid can pull off that type of deal, because PSG aren't going to want to probably lose him for anything under 200 million, which is just, with the COVID situation, is ridiculous to see if Madrid can pull off that type of deal. Even Producer T got mad. Producer T does not like this rumor. Come on, we know that. Producer T's a big Haaland guy. He's on. Producer T just did the SBC for Haaland, so I mean, it'd break his heart if he moved on. So, if any of you guys are doing foot champs, I mean, let me know how you guys are doing. Producer T again is going pretty hard at foot champs this weekend, so I wish him luck, and hopefully he didn't break any controllers. Real Madrid are in a better position to sign Mbappe if we ignore the money. I don't know if I agree that they're in a better position to sign Mbappe. I don't think anyone's in a great position to sign Mbappe, because he's just going to cost so much money. I don't know how any team can honestly pull it off, but I do think that, if they can make it work, I think Mbappe wants to go to Madrid, and I think that Madrid would probably prefer Mbappe. But I mean, seriously, a $75 million price tag on Haaland is a huge win for any club who wants to try to go after that. It would suck for us because, I mean, we got shafted, but that's why I think that they're trying to pull it off sooner rather than later, because I think they want Mbappe in as soon as possible, and if they can't work it out, they want to get Haaland in as soon as possible. But because that release clause isn't active, that's why they're doing this strategic deal. In my opinion, I think the 50 million plus Luka Jovic is a better deal than just 75 million, just because Luka Jovic is a direct replacement, and I think he is worth 30. So I mean, if you look at it that way, it makes sense. But again, I mean, this rumor is probably not very legitimate. I don't think it's actually going to happen, and I think Haaland's going to be with us until he sees fit. Luis says Haaland is worth 150 million while Jovic is 22 and has garbage stats while Haaland is world-class stats. Yes, guys, and don't let me make you think that I'm in favor of this. I'm 100% not in favor of this. What I'm in favor of is trying to figure out where that 75 million release clause is and scratch it. Because then that puts us, the club, in complete control of Haaland's future. But again, I don't think that's the case. I think that his agent, his dad, they made sure that this was in there. So pretty much the future is in their hand. They knew, or at least bet on the fact that Haaland was going to be worth more than the 75 million, which then gets him the ability to kind of choose where he wants to go. But then it doesn't come active until 2022, for example, if that is when it comes active, and that gives him a few seasons at Dortmund, which was a win for them because they spent almost nothing for him. So that's where this conversation comes into play, and that's why it's very interesting. Unless interesting player from renewal was Hakimi. Hakimi. He gets brought up every chat, and it just makes me very sad. If they get Jovic, they need to add 100 million to match Haaland's price. Again, yes, but that's the thing. It's this release clause. But actually, agents, you do make a good point. You do make a good point. That is something that could potentially turn a Dortmund's head, because they're offering, yes, the 50 plus Jovic, which arguably is like value-wise is about 75 to maybe 80 mil if you're doing it like that way. So it's not even that much better than the 75 million. But if they offer something like 100 million plus Jovic, then that can maybe get Dortmund thinking. But in reality, we don't want to lose him in January. We absolutely don't. It's not worth it, in my opinion. So maybe that's a conversation again that they can think back and try to come back with us in the summertime, because and that's a good example right there, agents, is that 100 million plus Jovic, or keep Haaland for next season and sell him for 75. If that's the case, I mean, again, it's all going to depend on this release clause, and that's why this conversation is so hard to do. But I like a lot what you guys are saying. Don't sell Haaland. Keep your talents. We would love to. We would absolutely love to keep Haaland. I mean, if he retired here, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. But we are a financial kind of strategic club, so that's why these conversations come into play. Breakfast Clubber says, hello, everyone. Or how is everyone? I am great. I don't know about everybody else sitting here, but I mean, I think I might be stressed out some people with this rumor that I've been reading, but it is worth a conversation. But again, for this season right now, I just don't think selling him in January is plausible, as well as it should be done no matter what the price is. I think we absolutely need to carry out the season with him, and I really do think that we will. Haaland should sign a new contract with a 200 million release clause. Yes, I will second that motion 100%. That would stop this entire conversation, because he's already worth, like I said, probably close to 200 million, and that would make it a lot more fair. But again, I think that his agent strategized it so Haaland's future is in his own hands, which is why that 75 million release clause is scary. And we all knew it. I mean, we knew that when we signed Haaland, that was potentially the case, is that we are going to spend this little on him, but then we're going to get at the point this little much for him. So business-wise, it's still a great deal, because we got so many great things from Haaland, on top of the fact that we are going to make 50 plus mil on him. So it makes it a strategic deal, and it worked out so much better than we could have. But it just sucks the fact that that's half of what he's actually worth. Are they getting rid of Haaland? No, they're not. 100% they're not. This is just a rumor that kind of got me thinking, and I wanted to have a conversation with you guys and kind of show you this strategy behind it, and why that this $75 million release clause could be a huge issue trying to get a fair price for Haaland moving forward. And that's why Madrid offered this type of package, and why it actually sort of makes a little bit of sense, even though I still don't think Dortmund would ever think about it. They have to offer, like agents was saying, 100 million plus probably Jovic to have any type of the board wanting to enlighten this, but I don't think that's the case. PSG should give us Mbappe plus 10 million for Haaland. Well, I'd take Mbappe in a heartbeat. I think all of us would. Haaland literally had the second best goal per game ratio after Lewandowski this year. If anyone wants to buy him, it should be an Mbappe level transfer. Yes, 100% I do agree. But again, this is what I keep mentioning, is this is why it's a very hard conversation to have. It's because of that 75 million release clause that makes this entire situation different. We're not going to get, unless this release clause is complete BS, which, I mean, there's been no 100% legitimate rumors, but it's very highly thought of that this is going to come in play in 2022, and it's going to give us almost no leverage when dealing with teams, because 75 million will be nothing, because we aren't going to get what we should get, like for example what PSG would get from Mbappe. We need Alcacer back. I would take Paco back in a heartbeat. He was an absolute beauty to have on the team. I miss him so much, and he was just honestly fun to watch. I'm a little bit behind in the comments. Jovic is 23. Yes, I was close. 23, 24, 25. Come on, Josh. One swap for Jovic. The guy who made this rumor has drank too much. But I mean, Sancho Flo, do you see what I'm saying though about why this potential? And it's probably more than anything, it is a rumor, and I don't think that Dortmund is gonna have any thought whatsoever about trying to sell him in January. But this 75 million release clause is going to be a talking point until basically it becomes active or it doesn't, because technically this is a better deal than the 75 million. Not at the point in time, but the fact that they're offering a decent young player that's a direct replacement plus 50 million, it basically equals with a little bit more than the 75. But yeah, it just makes it a very interesting conversation to have. But yes, I do think that this isn't going to happen. So don't let me think that you guys think that, oh, Josh said it's going to happen, because I really don't think it is. It's just an interesting conversation to have. Why is Haaland not playing many games? Can someone tell me? He is injured right now, but Breakfast Clubber already enlightened you on that. He will return in January. And yes, guys, there are already reports that he is back in training, which is fantastic news. So I don't know when the date is going to be where he may be back. I'm hoping there's a chance for that Wolfsburg game. I wouldn't hold my breath on it, but we'll have to see. They can give us Benzema plus 80 million. I would honestly take Luka Jovic before I would take Benzema. So, I mean, only because of his age. I think that Jovic, would, if he came to Dortmund, would be in Dortmund for many years to come, as long as he put up the performances. I think Benzema is at the tail end of his career. So, I mean, I wouldn't personally want Benzema over Jovic, but that's just my personal opinion. I do think Benzema is a fantastic striker. But I would take the 80 million plus potentially Jovic if it's better than that 75 million deal. But I mean, I don't know. That's where Dortmund does have a little bit of options, because I thought that Haaland basically wanted to make it so his party gets to have the final say. So many clubs will pick 75. He gets to have the conversations. He gets to make that decision whenever the time comes. But then Dortmund maybe going around and doing a deal along the lines of, like, for example, 80 to 100 million plus a player would potentially give a little bit of power to Dortmund. But realistically, and I say realistically because I desperately mean that, the board does not want to lose him. And I think it would look bad on everyone if we let him go. So that's why I really don't think that it's going to happen. But this conversation could be a similar conversation to have in the summertime window. But I would rather just hang on to Haaland as long as we can and watch him progress. And then if that 75 million comes in, is what it is. It'll break my heart, especially because it'll be half of what he's worth. But at least we have some great times with him, and maybe he'll resign. You never know. Hey guys, hello my friend. You think BBB should get a player in January? Is the team okay, Josh? I think that they should sign potentially a player or two. I don't think that they will. I think the finances have spoken themselves, and that we are going to have a very empty January transfer window. But I mean, you guys know pretty much my top 30. Sort of realistic, getting like a loan signing, because for the finances, like a Antonio Rudiger, just an example, or a Divock Origi to backup striker. But my main target, if we were going someone long term again, would be Donny Malen. I think he would definitely suit the boxes and hit those targets when it comes to the wings as through the middle. But again, we're not going to spend that kind of money, because we're going to basically put that decision up to our new manager. Or if we commit on Edin Terzic, maybe he's got those decisions to make in the summer window. Haaland could sign a new contract before that time. Ward, and that is what I'm banking on. That is why I don't think any type of money right now, plus a player, could sway Dortmund to sell right now. I don't think it's worth it. I think that they're going to hold him on with the potential of maybe getting him for even 3-4 more years. I mean, that is a realistic opportunity that he could potentially sign a new deal, get rid of that 75 million, which I'm praying for, because he would obviously be a huge benefit and a huge boost to our team for years to come. That's always the problem. Jovic was fantastic while at Frankfurt, but has never been a guarantee in this. That works in Steve, I'm sorry. That's always the problem. I'm just gonna try to connect the conversation here. Jovic was fantastic with Frankfurt, but this is never the guarantee that I'm assuming that you say when he gets switched to another club. So you're basically saying that if Jovic comes to Dortmund, there's no guarantee he would replicate his Frankfurt form. And I agree. I do agree with that, but I do think that there's a little baller in Jovic, and I would love to see him potentially come to our club and and hopefully completely turn around his form. But again, I would rather just stick out with Haaland and have the hopes that he signs a new contract. We need someone good in defense like Hummels, like De Ligt. I would take De Ligt in a heartbeat, but that's not very realistic. But I do agree that we do need another center back, but I think that won't be addressed until the summer transfer window. Yeah, I agree. Real Madrid would definitely go for a 75 million release clause for Haaland, but I meant ignoring the price tags, just focusing on what the player want as of now. Yes, I think that Haaland would be worth upwards of 200 mil. If you're asking me what I really think he worth, I think he checks all the boxes of an absolute dominant player and will be for years to come, considering he's only 20 years old. So that's why I think just banking on the fact that he may sign another contract is the best way to go. But don't be surprised if down the line when that 75 million release clause does come active and bites us in the butt. But I mean, if we can get some performances, get some silverware, and give Haaland a reason to re-sign, maybe that is another option. Like the video and share it, and also subscribe to this amazing channel and turn on the notifications for any newest videos like Bayern Fan here. Love and support the channel from Kuwait. Well, thank you so much, my friend. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. You've been very supportive since coming over from Bayern Now's channel. So yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't, definitely like the video and keep helping us grow. We are almost at 1.4K subs, which is crazy, and it's been honestly an amazing 2020, and a big thanks comes to you guys, and I like coming live with you guys and having these kind of conversations. So if you do like me doing this kind of stuff, definitely let me know in the comments after. But Luis says, but can Haaland say no even if the release clause is triggered? Yes, he can. So if a club like Madrid, for example, does trigger the release clause in 2022 and they don't agree on personal terms, then it's no deal. The player always has a say, but that's what I'm saying is that I believe like Haaland's party put that release clause in place so they can get out if they want to. But I mean, again, I mean he has publicly stated that he likes it here in Dortmund. That gives me a lot of hope that he could potentially resign and get rid of that $75 million transfer fee, because it just breaks my heart a little bit. Since Madrid can't sign Mbappe, let's sign him ourselves. I would love that. Absolutely would. Yes, he can. If we ignore the money, is like saying if we ignore reality. Sean, well said, and that's why we're having this conversation. Haaland's dad said that he's ready for his son to sign a contract extension to 2025, so there's a lot of news. A lot of this news is nonsense. I have not read that, so I mean, if you do want to tag me in it on Instagram or Twitter, I would love to read that. I mean, I don't think it's unrealistic that Haaland could sign a new deal, especially because, I mean, if he really loves Dortmund, like he says he does, I mean, whenever he does want to move on, he could easily up that to 150 million. It would still probably go pretty easily whenever it becomes active. So there is definitely a potential he could re-sign a deal. And if he signed till 2025, I would be on cloud 9. But I think it could be 50-50. I really don't know, and we're gonna have to obviously keep covering it because I really don't want to see us lose him for 75. Haaland still needs to stay at Dortmund so he can mature. 100%. I think this would stunt his growth, honestly, and I think his agent and his party knows that, and that's why that he's literally planning his career path around where he wants to go and making the moves at the right time, because he's been progressed very well. The people in the Haaland family know exactly what they're doing, and that's why he, at the age of 20, is already a world-class player. Real Madrid won't make the same mistake in signing a 21-year-old like they did with Jovic. Mbappe will join Real in 2021 or 2022. Potentially. I mean, I think Luka Jovic was a unique situation because Haaland is honestly twice the player that Luka Jovic is. So I mean, he's a lot more appealing than taking that little risk on than Jovic was. But Mbappe is, in my opinion, Madrid's number one target. I just don't know if they can afford him right now because PSG, as you know, are very, very stingy, very hard to deal with, and I don't think they're going to want to let him go for anything less than what they think he's worth. Josh, do you think BBB will buy a player in January if we sell a few players, and if so, who should go? Well, I mean, no, I don't think there's any chance, honestly, that we're going to buy a player. For the main reason, like I mentioned, is that I don't think we're going to be very focused on trying to drop 30-40 million on a player, have them come in, and then have the next manager, whoever it may be, not fancy that player, and that puts a very awkward situation because then they have to figure out how to flip that player, and it could be a whole mess. I think we have enough talent. We should easily get a top 4 finish as long as Ed Terzic can get the boys playing. But I don't know about that Julian Brandt rumor. I mean, I don't see Haaland going. I know that we've done 2 videos now, but it's because these are rumors. These are coming around, and I want to talk to them with you, and I don't believe the Chelsea one or the Madrid one is going to happen. But that Brandt one is definitely interesting because there's a lot of reasons why it could happen, even though I don't believe we're going to sell anyone, and I don't believe we're going to buy anyone. But in the summertime, I think Dahoud and Brandt's futures are definitely up in the air, and those are the 2 number 1 in people, in my opinion, who could potentially be shifted to raise some money. Haaland will probably leave Dortmund when he's 25, 26, and he will probably be at Dortmund for the next 4 years, in my opinion. I desperately hope that. I mean, I would love him to stay for another 5, 6 years. That would be absolutely fantastic. But again, it's all going to come down to that release clause, because I promise you, if it becomes active, it will get triggered, and obviously Haaland will then move on. But I mean, if he signs a new deal, then hallelujah, I'll come on here and celebrate with you guys, because we have one of the best strikers in the world tied down for the next 5, 6 years. After Hazard and Dembele and Jovic fails, I feel like La Liga is not good for young talents. That's a fair point. It's definitely a fair point. Hazard has been falling apart, but he wasn't technically a young talent when he moved there. He just hasn't been able to adapt to the league very well. Dembele has been a hit and miss, but nowhere near the price tag that Barca played for him. They're even still paying us money. And Jovic has been an absolute disaster, but that should be expected because he was never going to be a starter at Madrid. Raiola is always bad news for the club's boards. Yep, absolutely he is. He's got his hands in a lot of cookie pots all over the world. We know that. This transfer could ruin Haaland's career if he got injured in Madrid. Yeah, I mean, I still don't think that Haaland in itself, I don't think he's very keen on leaving Dortmund. I really don't. I think that's what gives me hope that a contract negotiations could come into play and he could sign new deals, because I think that he's growing as a player. He's getting better and better each and every day, and he's going to hopefully get taken to the next level. So those are just crossing my fingers, hoping something like that happens. Luca's here. Hello, Luca. How are you today? Mbappe leaves Haaland, or Mbappe leaves and Haaland joins PSG. No. I don't think that's going to happen. Overall, what do you think BBB should do to earn more respect worldwide? They need to know that we are more than just a create top talents and that we are better than that. Well, I honestly think that Dortmund's done a pretty decent job in the past few seasons. I mean, after Lucien Favre's first season, they signed Hummels, they signed Schultz, they signed Hazard, they signed Brandt. They really showed that they were a buying club. They've held on to Sancho now. They've obviously are holding on to Haaland. So I think they're doing the best that they can to hold on to some of their big boys. And I'm hoping that if we get some type of deal with Haaland and he re-signs for another 4 or 5 years, I think that would be a big statement in my opinion. But I do think they have respect around the world, and I think they showed that as well when they held on to Jadon Sancho for another year. Would you like to see Tuchel back at Dortmund? No, I would not. I think Tuchel did some good things here at Dortmund, but I think he left in too much of a mess and caused too many waves at the club, so I don't really want to see him come back. Plus, even though Jovic was really good in Frankfurt, I don't really like some of the things he's done. He may end up being problematic for our club. I don't really think he's worth it if he doesn't change. That's a good point as well. It's a shame because I do think he's a baller, and I do think that he can potentially go on and become a good player. I mean, linking him back to the Bundesliga, if he joined a club like Gladbach, for example, or Wolfsburg, I think that he could rediscover his form. But yeah, I mean, I'd hold on to Haaland 10 times before I would ever want to flip him for Jovic. What time is it now in Canada? It is 4:14 p.m. here in Canada. Tuchel was way too problematic for clubs. That's why he was sacked from BBB and PSG. Wins trophies, but I'd rather maintain the integrity of the club. Very well said. What about importance of the game against Wolfsburg? I think it's going to set the tone for the second part of the season. Yes, it absolutely will set the tone. I mean, if we win this, we're back into the top 4. If we lose it, there's now a decent gap between us and Wolfsburg, which is unacceptable. It's a very important game. I know I say that a lot of times coming forward, but it's awful. If we lose it, it would just be a horrible way to set the tone for the second half. It's very well said. So, I mean, I'm just praying that we can get a good performance. I can hope that the boys can come together. If Haaland somehow miraculously comes back, that would be just a huge boost we need. But I think that Terzic had some time to train with the boys and hopefully find out the way that he likes to play and the way the players like to play, and can hopefully go out there. And it's going to be a very interesting game to see what Edin Terzic has done with the team, as well as, like you said, I mean, for our top 4 push, it's going to start with this Wolfsburg game. Catalina's here, and she said, who cares about Jovic? He is nothing but a traitor to all of Frankfurt. Zinedine Zidane and Real Madrid have no chance of taking Lord Erling from us. Zorc will protect him from them. I agree that. Oh, and she's got a little bit more. The Spanish press have blood on their hands. Everybody, because Real Madrid are our enemies, as I shall not follow Zidane and the Madrista freaks to take Haaland from. And again, I don't believe that they will take Haaland. I do think that they are contenders to target Haaland down the line, but for the most part, I think that Haaland will stay with us. And I mean, we're just going to hope that we can turn the season around, get a manager in, whoever it may be. Maybe Edin Terzic turns the season around and becomes the main man here, and Haaland gets tied down for 5-6 more years. I mean, that's the dream. But I mean, these rumors are legitimate. I say legitimate. I mean, they're out there. I mean, he's been linked for a ton of clubs, but I don't think that Dortmund, like you said, Catalina, will let him go anytime soon, unless that release clause comes active, of course. Gotta roll over that. Jovic for Haaland is extremely realistic. Yes, I'm unrealistic. There you go. I was gonna say, I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but yes, no, it is unrealistic. But that was the point I was trying to come across, is that Madrid think that they're offering a better deal if they offer the 50 million plus Jovic instead of a 75 million, because Jovic is a direct replacement and has that Bundesliga experience. That's why this rumor is supposedly better than the 75 million. But in my opinion, no matter what the offer is, we hold on to Haaland with all hopes that we sign him a new contract and pray we don't lose him for 75 million. And we don't even know 100% if that's absolutely legit, but those are just what the rumors are saying. I can't believe that you were talking about things that you're going to happen. Haaland stays till 2023. They can buy Sancho. I can't believe that you were talking about... No, I don't think... I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, but no, I do not think that it's going to happen at all. I don't. I'm reading a rumor that I've read, but I was trying to talk to you as to why Madrid potentially think that this is an absolutely better deal than waiting for the 75 million. I don't think they're going to buy Sancho either, and I hope Haaland stays beyond that. But I mean, the rumors are the 75 million contract or the 75 million release clause is coming active in 2022. Again, these are all rumors as well. Maybe it's not, but that is what it is saying. But I do not think that he's going to be leaving January. Don't you guys worry. I really, really don't. But I mean, though, that 75 million is going to be a worry situation for us whenever it does arise. But no, and I don't think we're going to sell Sancho to Madrid, but I do hear some rumors of him getting linked back to United. Maybe we could sign Nicholas Nkolo, from Torino. His contract is expiring. He'd be a decent center back to bring in. He's got experience. I believe he played in Lyon, as well as some Premier League experience. I know he's doing well in Torino. So, I mean, I wouldn't be against that, even though Torino is bottom of Serie A. Witsel is going to leave next season, probably. I don't know if you mean before next season, because I don't think he's going to leave before the start of next season. Dahoud is performing better than him at the moment. I 100% agree, but Dahoud can't seem to even make the trip out to play some of these teams, so not sure what's going on there. But I think that we will have to wait around 1 to 2 years to see what's going to happen with Haaland. Sure, he's been happy at the club in his future, but there's also ambitions. Also very well said. I think we're going to have to wait as well to see what's going to happen in his future. Again, these are rumors that I want to address with you guys today. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think the best course of action, honestly, with Dortmund is just to wait it out, enjoy this stud of Erling Haaland as long as we can, as he keeps getting better and better, and then potentially address these issues when they come, and with the hopes that he signs that contract, because I think that's the best way to get rid of that $75 million release clause. Jovic is a traitor to all the Bundesliga and a sworn enemy of Dortmund, seeing the Spanish press. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, Catalina. You're pretty aggressive against the traitor of Luka Jovic, but I mean, Madrid came calling. He went. I mean, he wasn't even property of, or he wasn't property of Frankfurt at the time, but I believe Frankfurt bought him for like 3 million from Benfica and then flipped him for 50. So I think Frankfurt was okay with it, but I do take your point. If he moves, it won't be for money. It will be for trophies. Depends on where the club is at in a few years. Also well said. I think that Haaland, again, is just enjoying his time here at the club and is hoping to this message showcase feature in your stream is interesting. Well, thank you. The only thing that we need to be respectful, to be more respectful worldwide, is to win trophies. That is a good way to be more respected. But I mean, I think that we are doing it. Good job, obviously, as one of the top clubs in the Bundesliga, and I'm desperately hoping that we are able to get off and get some trophy this year. But I do think that we are going to wrap it up right now, mainly because I have places to go right now, and I just got lost track of the time. But I hope you guys did enjoy this little transfer talk. I like doing these with you guys. Again, this caught my eye, and I want to see what a lot of you guys said, and most of you agree with me when it comes to the fact that this is probably BS. And even if it's not BS and Madrid are actually planning this package, it's more than likely never going to happen. There's no point in us trying to make this work, because Haaland could still sign a new deal. We could figure out that contract if and when it does arise. And let's just hope Haaland gets back firing and we can take 3 points against Wolfsburg to start off the 2021 year. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys have been absolutely fantastic here on the channel. We keep growing. So, I mean, if you haven't already, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.